Hello guys, what's up? Jubitaz back with another video for y'all, where today I'm going to be ranking all of the weapons in Naruto. A shinobi's weapon of choice is a part of their identity and shapes who they are. That's why Obito used Madara's war fan when he was pretending to be him in the war, for example. Now the weapons I'll be tackling today won't be the average kunai, shuriken, nunchucks, or even the windman shuriken, but I'll try to find more special weapons that are unique to shinobi. I'll also not include the Susanoo weapons in the official ranking, since it's not really fair to include these astral next level weapons, but I will rank them individually at the end of the video. I'll go over all the unique weapons I could find, and I'll explain my reasoning for the entry's placement. Now we got a long list ahead, so let's not waste any time and get straight to it. So at number 21, I got the conch shell mace used by Kotetsu from everyone's favorite couple, Izumo and Kotetsu. The weapon in question is a mace shaped like a conch shell with a lot of sharp protrusions and an eye. It's used as part of Izumo and Kotetsu's combination attack, where Izumo immobilizes the enemy with his water-style syrup trap, making it easier for Kotetsu to land the attack. In the anime, the mace showed the ability to alter its shape to form wing-like appendages, which allowed it to levitate. And Kotetsu was also able to remotely control its trajectory by using hand gestures. The reason it's ranked so low is because, just like its wielder, it lacks the feats to rank any higher. Number 20, we got the Helmet Splitter, one of the 7 legendary swords of the mist wielded by Jinin Akibino. The weapon consisted of a large axe attached to a hammer with a leather-like rope. This sword was stated to be able to break through any defense when both the axe and the hammer are used in conjunction with one another. The wielder can strike with the axe first before slamming the hammer on the axe's backside. This in turn uses the axe to act like a wedge to drive straight through any obstacle. The hammer also seemed powerful enough to create shockwaves in the ground. Now, due to the weapon's limited mobility and due to how Jinin was the first swordsman to be sealed, this is as high as I can rank him. Number 19 is an interesting one. Killer Bee's 7 Blades. Killer Bee was known for a lot of things, but one of those was the wielder of 7 blades. Bee was a master swordsman, and he had this one technique where he was able to wield his 7 swords at the same time, and then he'd battle his opponent with a mix of acrobatic hip-hop taijutsu. Killer Bee's moves were so sporadic and unpredictable, difficult even for the Sharingan to track with ease. And when Bee found an opening, he can impale his opponent with all 7 blades at the same time. And considering he can accurately pinpoint vital spots, it was one of his most lethal attacks. Now, I didn't rank Bee's 7 blades any higher because, in all honesty, the blades themselves aren't anything special. It's Bee's moves that make the move so effective. But I thought it was a cool one to include nonetheless. Number 18, we got the triple-bladed scythe, the main weapon of Hidan. The weapon itself wasn't made so much to kill, but to wound the target and draw out at least a little blood, so that Hidan could perform his cursed ritual from within the comfort of his own diagram. The coil attached to the weapon itself was made so that Hidan could extend his yield without having to leave his ritual blood diagram. The weapon contained 3 blades that get smaller from top to bottom. The striking power of the blade itself was no joke, and the extendable cable on its own could block shuriken and kunai. However, the large size of the 3 blades inhibited its speed, which made Hidan's movements the slowest of the Akatsuki. So due to its limited functionality and its slow mobility, this is as high as I can rank it. Number 17 is the chakra blades. The chakra blade is a type of weapon in which a user can flow their chakra into, and there have actually been several chakra blades in the series. The White Fang, for example, his name was inspired off of his blade, which was a white light chakra saber that absorbed chakra and released a white streak when it was swung. Tenten also owned a chakra blade that was able to cut through the Seven Tails cocoon in the anime. However, the most popular chakra blades were the ones wielded by Asuma and then later by Shikamaru. They are shaped like brass knuckles but with an embedded knife in the bottom. Asuma used to channel his wind chakra into the blades to increase their sharpness and effective length. When Shikamaru inherited the chakra blades from Asuma, he imbued his own chakra into them in order to extend his shadow possession's jutsu by launching them into his opponent's shadow. Based on the versatility of the blades and based on how it was the weapon used to behead Hidan, I figured it deserved to be ranked at least this high. Number 16 is the Sewing Needle, the long sword and one of the 7 swords of the mist, wielded by Kushimaru Kurihara. This sword looked very similar to a large needle, and it had a long thin wire tied through the eye located at the base, much like a thread. This sword is said to have the ability to pierce all and stitch them together. During the war in the anime, Kushimaru displayed the ability to effortlessly penetrate multiple targets and then quite literally stitch them together in the bundles. He did so by throwing his sword around to pierce his targets and catching it on the other side and repeating the process until he knits several corpses together. Now, despite that Kushimaru knew how to use the weapon effectively, the fact that it's essentially just a really large needle and thread makes it hard for me to rank it any higher. Number 15 is the Claw Club wielded by the 4th Mizukage Yagura Karatachi. Yagura's weapon of choice was a large club with uneven sized hooks. The club also bore a flower with green leaves and a yellow interior. It also seemed to have a sturdy defense, as Yagura was able to use it to block the executioner's blade. The reason that I ranked the club this high is because it was linked to one of Yagura's strongest attacks, the water style mirror jutsu, where when he rotates the water mirror 90 degrees, the reflection from the mirror emerges and materializes to collide with the opponent. According to Naruto MB, the clone is of equal strength. Now, since this is the one trick that it has, this is as high as I can rank it. Number 14, I got the Explosive Blade, another one of the 7 legendary swords of the mist, wielded by Jinpachi Munashi. This blade is interesting. It had 2 distinct sides, one with a narrow cutting edge and the other was a scroll covered in multiple explosives. This scroll unrolls and rests atop the sword's surface, creating segments comprised of numerous explosive tags. Only once the desired opponent comes into contact with the scroll do the explosive tags detonate, and then the sword scroll is able to reload another segment of tags onto the surface automatically after each strike. Now, due to all the tags, the blade wielded massive explosive power. Jinpachi himself was so skilled with that blade that he could use it while evading its blast radius. However, a user that isn't skilled enough could potentially get caught up in the blast, which is why I can't rank this blade any higher. Number 13 is Tamari's giant folding fan. This fan had 3 purple circles, which Tamari called moons, and the fan's true power could be achieved once all 3 moons are revealed. Considering that it was Tamari's primary weapon of choice, it was a powerful tool with many use cases. Tamari was able to use the fan to levitate or glide, and the fan itself was able to deflect kunai and shuriken, indicating that it was made of a steel-like substance. Of course, the real power of her fan lied in the wind's striking ability. Tamari can use the fan to create slicing whirlwinds powerful enough to slice up an entire forest. It's also an effective tool for defense, as the fan can deflect incoming attacks. Tamari's fan was also strong enough to cause minor injuries to the 3rd Raikage and even blow Madara away, but still can't really compete with either of them in the slightest. So I'm confident ranking it here. Number 12, I got the Executioner's Blade. probably the most popular of the 7 swords of the mist. Wielded by many shinobi including Juzo, Suigetsu, and Kakashi, the most popular figure to wield it would have to be Zabuza. The executioner's blade was a massive sword shaped like a butcher's knife, with a circular hole in the bottom side and a semicircular crevice at the top that can be used to restrain people like Suigetsu did to Kakuzu's accountants. The most prominent feature of this blade was that it was essentially indestructible, as in, the blade can automatically regenerate itself from any damage by absorbing the iron from the victim's blood. It was also pretty sturdy and possessed a powerful striking force. That being said, it doesn't possess nearly as many special abilities as the aforementioned weapons. I mostly ranked it this high due to how iconic the blade is. Number 11, we got the Lightning Blades, another one of the 7 swords, wielded by Amiyuri Ringo and also Raiga in the anime. Also known as Kiba or the Fangs, these 2 swords have been imbued with lightning, which gave them enhanced cutting power, similar to the high frequency vibrations of lightning-based chakra, which made its penetrating power unstoppable. Now the Thunder Swords were a lot more than just swords. When Amiyuri used it, she could manipulate lightning freely and could simultaneously perform high-level lightning jutsu. The blades can channel the user's own lightning techniques, or it can conduct lightning naturally from the sky and strike anywhere the user desires. Even without the lightning techniques, the blades on their own were very dangerous in battle, and they could be used in combination with flexible movements, and the jagged edges allow it to inflict more damaging moves. Amiyuri Ringo seemed to be the more proficient user of the blades, and she was one of the tougher swordsmen to deal with, but I think 12th place is as high as I can rank it. Number 10 is the Hiramikari, or the Twin Sword. Also one of the 7 legendary mist swords, the blade was wielded by Mangetsu Hozuki, Suigetsu's brother, and then later by Chojuro, who would become the 6th Mizukage. The sword is usually wrapped up in bandages just like the Samihara and has 2 handles. However, this is its dormant form. The Hiramikari is capable of storing chakra, and once the command Hiramikari releases uttered by the user, the sword is activated and chakra is emitted and engulfs the entire sword. This chakra can then be shaped into various weapons, and the more chakra stored into the blade, the larger the size of the manifested weapon. It can also transform shapes really fast, as even Black Zetsu gets caught off guard by it. And on top of all that, the Hiramikari can also be split into 2 individual blades, akin to its name, the Twin Swords. Overall, it was presented as the 2nd strongest of the 7 swords, but we still have more broken weapons to get to. Number 9 is the Adamantine Staff, or the Monkey Staff, wielded by the 3rd Hokage Hiruzen Sarutobi. Now this is one of the few sentient weapons, as in it's a living being. It's actually the transformation of Hiruzen's summon, Monkey King Enma. That's why fans call it the Monkey Staff. When in this form, Enma's skin was as hard as diamond, which is how Enma was able to protect the 3rd from the deep forest emergence by cloning the staff to create an impenetrable lattice box around him. This strategy could also be used to imprison an enemy until Enma chooses to release them. The staff could also extend to great lengths and was able to push the Nine Tails to the outskirts of the village. And it was also strong enough to break through the branches of the God Tree in order to save Naruto. The Adamantine Staff is definitely very powerful, but the other entries are even more broken. Number 8 is the Kusanagi blade, wielded by Orochimaru. Orochimaru used to store his Kusanagi blade inside his body, and his blade was said to cut through almost anything. Even when facing the diamond-hard monkey staff, Enma stated that the Kusanagi would have left him considerably sore. This sword could also be moved telekinetically on Orochimaru's command, and it could also extend to almost unbelievable lengths, halfway across the forest. Though it is worth mentioning that it was not able to pierce through Naruto in his V2 Four-Tailed state. Sasuke also seemed to wield a variant of the Kusanagi blade, though it didn't share the special properties of Orochimaru. Sasuke's sword, however, had its own special techniques, as he could channel his lightning chakra into the blade. This gave it both sharpness and increased its cutting edge. Sasuke was also able to numb the opponent he pierced with the sword. Itachi's spiritual weapon was also said to be a variant of the Kusanagi blade, but like I said, we'll get into the Susanoo weapons later. Number 7, I got 3 of the 5 treasured tools of the Sage of Six Paths: the Golden Rope, the 7 Stars Blade, and the Crimson Gourd. All of these tools were once wielded by the Sage of Six Paths himself, and their power is said to surpass even the 5 Kage. Now, the reason that I ranked these 3 tools in particular together is because they function simultaneously with one another. The gold rope is used to draw the spirit word, or the most commonly used word, of anyone that comes in contact with it. And then the 7-star sword can sever the spirit word from the person, so that if they utter the word they use the most in their lives, they will get sucked into and trapped inside the Crimson Gourd. Even if the user tried to bypass this by remaining silent, the gourd will still suck the opponent in if they say nothing at all for a certain amount of time. Now, while it is a very powerful technique, the long-winded process prevents it from ranking any higher. Number 6, we got the Amber Purification Pot, which was one of the treasured tools of the Sage of Six Paths. All 5 of the treasured tools were said to consume enormous amounts of chakra, too much chakra that normal human beings would die after using the tools, even if only used briefly. The sealing urn works when the user calls the target's name and the target responds back. The pot records their voice and then seals them away, making it even more convenient than the Crimson Gourd in sealing, as it requires less preparation. Kurama told Naruto that this was such a powerful tool that whoever gets sealed into the pot can never escape it, as Kinkaku remained there even after the reanimation jutsu was released. The 3rd Raikage also used to seal the 8 tails within the urn, though when he used it, he didn't have to follow the rule of calling out the name and having the subject respond. Instead, he was seen performing a seal. Number 5, I got the Leaf Fan, the last of the 5 treasured tools of the Sage. Now, unlike the aforementioned tools, the Banana Fan is more of an offensive tool than a sealing one, as the user can use the fan to generate all 5 of the basic elemental chakra natures. All the user has to do is say the mental command, and then he can generate substantial amounts of the desired element by just waving the fan. The fan was also shown to be pretty effective in defense as well. Now, as one of the treasured tools of the Sage, not anyone could just use the Leaf Fan. Kinkaku and Kinkaku were a special case since they possessed some of the Nine Tails chakra. Surprisingly enough, Tenten was also able to use the Bashosen to destroy one of Kakuzu's hearts with like one swipe. Now, she did collapse after using it, but considering the chakra toll it takes to wield this weapon, I'd say this is actually a pretty good feat for Tenten. Number 4 is the Samihara or Shark Skin, the last of the 7 ninja swords of the mist, wielded by Fuguki and then by Kisame Hoshigaki and then B. Now, just like the monkey staff, Samihara is another sentient weapon, and due to that, it picks its own user, and it's rather picky too, only gravitating towards those that possess exceptionally large pools of chakra, because those were the only ones that could tame it. If we look at its appearance in the Boruto anime, when it was wielded by some inferior shinobi, ripoff Kisame, Samihara took control over the boy's body and then went on a rampage. That's why it was regarded as the most terrifying out of the 7 swords. Samihara's body was covered in scales, which is why it was used to flay or shred its opponents, and also extend its scales to spikes. Its main function, of course, was devouring chakra, and the more chakra it devoured, the larger it got. Although it continuously consumes its owner's chakra, its largest meals came from battles, and it was able to consume the potent tailed beast chakra. When Kisame used it against Jinchuriki, it was able to deplete their chakra and revert them back to their base. Samihara can also transfer the chakra it has absorbed to the wielder, which can both heal them from fatal injuries as well as strengthen them. Kisame was able to take this a step further by completely merging with his sword, where he became more shark-like in appearance, and he even inherited some of Samehada's abilities, such as absorbing chakra from the opponent he's in contact with, as well as the ability to track chakra with his skin. Number 3 is the Black Chakra Receiver, also known as the Renegon Rod. Now, despite the name, it's actually believed that those rods originate from the Ghetto statue, which can only be summoned by the Renegon. They take on the shape of metallic rods and can be generated instantly by anyone that possessed the Renegon or the essence of the Ghetto Mazo. They serve as very effective weapons, and the user can alter their shape to make them more convenient. They can either be used as weapons or even launched as high-speed projectiles. On top of all that, the receivers had the special ability to disrupt the opponent's flow of chakra if it penetrates their body, and can render them completely immobile if it pierced their chakra points. This is what makes them so dangerous. The Renegon rods are also able to transmit chakra, meaning that if you have enough chakra, you can remotely control up to 6 bodies. And these 6 bodies can generate the exact same rods, making it the most convenient weapon to use. Number 2 is the Ganbai, or the Army Arrangement Fan, wielded by both Obito and Madara. I already talked about it in my Uchiha Iceberg video, but basically this was a legendary weapon passed down within the Uchiha clan, and for a while there during the Warring States era, it was Madara Uchiha's weapon of choice. He used it in his many battles against the first Hokage, so this alone should highlight how powerful that weapon is. It's said that this weapon was carved from a unique spirit tree that was used only for ritualistic instruments. It was designed to be both offensive and defensive. It had the unique ability of converting incoming chakra into wind chakra, hence reflecting the opponent's attack back on them. This jutsu unique to the Ganbai is also called the Uchiha Reflection. The fan was also very durable and could block Naruto's many-tailed beast ball without so much as a crack. It may be the most iconic weapon of the show, but it's not the most powerful, because that title belongs to... Number 1 is the Sword of Ninoboku, created from the truth-seeking orbs and wielded by both the Sage of Six Paths and Obito when he became the Ten-Tails Jinchuriki. Also known as the Divine Blade, this sword was a holy relic once used by the Sage himself to create the world. This sword is unlike any other, as it is manifested from all the truth-seeking balls. Its power is uncontested. That's true, but the difference between it and an ordinary weapon is that it draws its power from the strength of one's emotions. It was called the Sword of the Soul for a reason. So it does seem like the sword's strength can be compromised and it can shatter if the user's will wavers. But if the Talk no Jutsu didn't land on Obito, then I'm sure it would have been the strongest weapon. Now, I promised that I'd go over the Susanoo weapons separately at the end, and I'm here to deliver. So the Susanoo on its own is both an incredible offense and defense, but I wanted to address the Susanoo's astral weapons in particular, all formed from the Susanoo's chakra. Shisui Susanoo wields a drill that it can use to drill people into the ground, and if we look at his perfect Susanoo in the game, the drill can be coated with fire as well. Itachi has the ethereal Totsuka blade that can seal away anyone it stabs and trap them in a genjutsu-like world of drunken dreams. Itachi also has the Yara mirror, stated to be able to deflect any attack. Madara's humanoid Susanoo wields 4 blades, and when it reaches the complete body form, it possessed a sword strong enough to chop the mountains in half. Sasuke's Susanoo weapon of choice was a Susanoo bow and arrow, where he'd set the arrow ablaze with Kagetsuchi, though its strongest form is when Sasuke collects the chakra from all the 9-tailed beasts and creates the long bow and arrow infused with lightning chakra. Kakashi and Obito's Susanoo possess the Kamui Shuriken, which can instantly warp anything it comes in contact with to the Kamui dimension. All very busted abilities. Now, if I had to rank them, I'd go with the Kamui Shuriken first, then the Totsuka Blade, then the Mountain Splitting Swords, the Blaze Release Arrows, and then the Drill. Obviously, Indra's arrow is an outlier and would be the strongest weapon in terms of like overall destructive power. Anyways, I think that should have done it for all the weapons in Naruto. This turned out to be a longer video than I anticipated, but so long as you guys are enjoying it, then that's all that matters. Make sure to drop a like if you've enjoyed this video. Go check out some of the other bangers on the channel, and other than that, I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace out.